Welcome to another episode of Uncensored Daily Radar, where your fellow foiled friend scans the entire globe for what may or may not be artificial and nefarious activity. We go through satellite radar as well as the zippity zip zap radar, aka NEXRAD, to better understand atmospheric and environmental conditions in full context. Before we get started, there are a few things that you should know. Number one, I repeat, I am not a meteorologist, but I am a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, which obviously makes me far more qualified to analyze atmospheric conditions. Number two, videos are fairly short, but feel free to skip ahead to any section you're most interested in. And lastly, if you'd like to see these daily radar videos, please consider becoming a paid subscriber. Otherwise, this video is about to reach a paywall, and we'll pause right now. Now. Okay. All right, let's get started. Good evening. It is June 30th. About 10:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's get started. All right, I want to pull up the news. So I don't know if you guys have checked this out, but Google has AI mode, so you can talk to it kind of like ChatGPT, but it searches all of Google for you and kind of tells you what's going on and it gives you all the resources. So I asked where the tornadoes have touched down yesterday and today. So yesterday we had some in Minnesota. The damage there was unreal. South Dakota. Yeah, also pretty severe ones. You know, this is kind of inaccurate because I believe there was also one in North Dakota. And then today there was one in Canada. You don't hear that often. And apparently no major tornado touchdowns today. As far as earthquakes are concerned, today we had a 4.3 mag in Nepal, a 5.1 in Japan, a 4.6 in Italy, and then yesterday we had, I guess another one in Nepal, 4.6 in the US. Not sure where that is. I'd have to look that one up. And California and Nevada, several small earthquakes, of course. United States yesterday. Gosh, where was that? I think it was Pennsylvania. No, I'm thinking of another story. It was Alaska. Looked up plane crashes yesterday. We already talked about that one yesterday. In Ohio, a plane crashed. Unfortunately, all 6 people had been killed. There was another fatal plane crash in West Michigan yesterday as well. 1 fatality. And a small plane did crash into a lake in Florida after experiencing engine failure shortly after takeoff. See, most of these crashes occur within 10 minutes of takeoff or landing. And that's pretty standard. And so likely unrelated to the frequencies being emitted. We're looking for a pattern. So like the next time we see an area with pretty intense frequency generation, like we take note of that and we'll see if there were any crashes that were reported in the area. As far as wildfires are concerned, California's got a lot of fire issues, and Riverside County has multiple, and then there are several other fires in California, which is very unfortunate. I mean, we've been seeing that place get dried out for weeks. You know, if the theories about what these NEXRAD towers are capable of are true, then we've seen this coming for over a month now. We've been seeing them zip zap, zip zap, zip zap, and historically that usually means that the area is getting microwaved, literally getting microwaved, heated up, getting dried out. The moisture in the ground is evaporating. The trees are drying. The leaves are drying. It becomes a very easy target for fires. Idaho, several fires, and we all heard about the shooting incident. I mean, if you guys didn't hear about it, I made a video on it. It's on Instagram. I got to put it on here too, but a fire was set. They think that the suspect actually ignited the fire, waited for first responders to come, went into the forest with a sniper, and when the responders went up, there were 3 of them, shot all 3 of them. For hours. he was firing and they couldn't find him. The FBI came out. They had helicopters come out. I mean, they had major investigations to try to find where he actually was. They apparently triangulated him with the cell phone. I don't understand. They found him dead in the woods, but they haven't reported if he killed himself or if someone else killed him. Alaska, they've got fires. Turkey, they got fires. Reports of wildfires in Garfield County, likely in Tennessee, were also noted with an evacuation order issued. Likely in Tennessee? What do you mean by that? Okay, yeah, because they're showing Nashville weather here. So yeah, Tennessee. The Sahara dust, the famous Sahara dust, is on its way to Texas. And we can see that on the map here, the dust map. So over here, it's going this way. And over here, it's going... Well, right now, it's not going this way. This is moving like this from up here, but this dust is staying pretty contained, moving down and in. But that's just the way the direction the wind is moving right now. But it's going up to Texas. And then this is going to be moving up this way and this way. So be prepared for dust. I've been checking out power outages. There are a lot of power outages right now. Thousands are without power in Pennsylvania. No. So I'm looking at widespread power outages. So yesterday there were widespread power outages in Missouri by the high winds. There were significant power outages. 37,000 city utility customers lost power. Numerous trees and power lines were down. And in Delaware, over 1,300 people were without power due to unknown causes. Today, Missouri, still, they're trying to get people their electricity restored. 9,000 customers were still without power as of noon today. West Virginia, widespread power outage affected over 1,000 customers. Apparently, it was due to a main transmission line being damaged. And in Pennsylvania, the heavy thunderstorms caused power outages as well. And then in other countries, you've got Cuba experienced a historic energy deficit, leading to significant blackouts during peak demand hours. The crisis was attributed to breakdowns in power plants, fuel shortages, and infrastructure issues. Blackouts continued today. Middle Tennessee also had a scheduled power outage. 3,500 customers were out of power so that they could make repairs. Power outages ongoing today due to a substation fire. And overall, New England due to extreme heat. Okay, and we have a possible tropical or subtropical development near Florida.
And again, you've got that chance, whether it happens in the Gulf or it kind of works its way over Florida and sits off the southeast coast. These are positions and areas that tend to pop stuff up quick from time to time. So there's your frontal boundary. There's your air masses coming in. And so it creates that spin. And you saw that broad spin in the forecast, which will keep the rain and thunderstorms coming nearby. But what it could also do is maybe tighten up, and that's what we have to worry about. Obviously, if this thing does end up tightening up, then you got more of a wind problem, and then maybe you've got a tropical entity here, which, next name would be Chantal. But overall, the models just want to continue to keep showers and thunderstorms nearby. It doesn't look like anything eyebrow-raising right now, but it is there, and we want to make sure you guys are aware of it, especially if you're going to places like Orlando for the 4th.
Tomorrow, we kind of set up.
Yep. And this was interesting. I used Google AI and I was like, any weather anomalies happening in the world? Any unusual events for Sunday? And then I gave the dates. It says there were several significant weather anomalies and unusual events happening across the globe. In Morocco, they had an unprecedented and intense heat wave affecting them for the last several days, with temperatures exceeding, oh my gosh, what does this even mean? 40 degrees Celsius. Okay, it's 104 degrees Fahrenheit. My goodness, people. The event was notable for its intensity and its expansion into typically cooler coastal areas, with some regions experiencing temperatures. Okay, so Southern Europe, they are having a major heat wave. We've been hearing of this. Portugal was on high alert for extreme heat and wildfires as well. Western U.S., 20 million people braced for extreme heat. Analysis suggests the heat wave is 2 to 5 times more likely due to human-caused climate change. Yes, it is certainly human-caused. Not climate change, but environmental change. Temperatures, yeah. Okay, so we got Tropical Storm Barry, but that broke apart. Tropical Storm Flossie, that broke apart. These are outdated, I believe. United States, several areas in the U.S. experienced severe weather. Tornadoes were reported in South Dakota, Minnesota, with one home being destroyed. 4 weak tornadoes were also confirmed near Minneapolis early yesterday. There was non-zero chance of a tornado in up to 10 U.S. states on the 29th due to heavy storms. Non-zero chance of a tornado. Never seen that worded like that before. North American monsoon brings rainfall in drought-stricken areas in New Mexico and West Texas, but also causing dangerous flooding. European wildfires, yep, low Arctic sea ice. What, you guys are always making stuff up with that. Alrighty, let's see what NextRad is doing. Obviously, this storm has a ton of rippled radar. Every single glow you see here is a NextRad station for Doppler radar. At least that's the official statement. The conspiracy theory is that it does far more than just track systems and give us predictions, forecasts, things like that. The conspiracy theory is that they are capable of also manipulating the weather, steering it, increasing heat, eliminating moisture, pulling moisture from the air, communicating with the nanoparticulates using frequencies, can also manipulate, these are theories that they're also, through using frequencies, are capable of manipulating people and altering their levels of inflammation, which can cause anxiety, heart palpitations, breathing issues, can actually cause your body to weaken to the point of letting opportunistic infections to rise up. So like within us, all dormant viruses lay beaten by our immune systems. But the second our immune system is weakened, those already existing diseases and viruses that may have never risen up again for the rest of our lives are now able to take over. So we get the appearance of an illness, giving us the impression that we've caught something. But maybe our bodies have just been so weakened by something like this that we can actually get sick from something that's been within us all along. Some people go so far as to say that these are direct energy weapons capable of igniting fires, starting earthquakes, and like I said, like affecting humans on a individual level, and that they can communicate with the HAARP stations. All right, just from looking at this, still in central U.S., these towers are there's rippled radar, I call it that. It's not an official statement, but the radar around the storm is in a rippled fashion. We see this not only on radar, but in the cloud cover. So if you go outside and you see those ripples in the clouds, check back on my show and see if you saw the ripples in the area, because you likely did. Yes, those ripples in the clouds occur naturally a lot, but I'm noticing that wherever we see ripples in the radar around storms, in those areas you see the ripples in the clouds. every time. All right, let's go region by region. These towers are still more active than they used to be. We're seeing towers turning off and on more than we used to see. That was a little bit more intense than I'm used to seeing. That was interesting. These are still radiating. Yeah, that was weird. I'm not looking in the center of the United States right now. I'm looking mostly on the western side. Got a lot of moisture get pulled out of the air here. That tower was beaming in one direction when there wasn't any kind of cloud cover going by. That was a little strange. Sometimes when we see that, fires pop up. I'd say let's wait and see if there's any fires in this area, but there already are. I mean, this whole area is just super dry, and we've got fires all over the place. See the zip zaps coming out of Southern California? That's 100% of the time. It literally never stops. It's always like that. Now, these flame-like radar coming out of the tower here, that's unusual, and I only ever see that around when fires are about to start, or they're actually, they've already started and they're continuing. I have seen this since before the San Bernardino fires started. I see this before the North Carolina fires started. I think there's something to this flame-like radar and when fires are ignited. And it's not that they're there because of the smoke, because we see these before the fires even begin. And yeah, like I said, these towers are emitting more. For those of you who are new, and there are a lot of you who are new, thank you so much for joining. This is awesome. Every night, so you'll see, every night, these towers will get more sensitive. So as it gets darker across the U.S., my eye's so itchy. The towers will show more sensitivity. But keep in mind, every single night, there are towers that are obviously more sensitive than others. I call it the focal point for the night, the focus area. And tonight, this is the focus area. It's been varying. Like the other night, it was just here. Another time, it was the entire half of the United States. Another time, it was the western states plus the middle and Florida. So it changes all the time. And wherever they're sensitive like that, whenever they're emitting like that, that's where the unusual stories come out the next day. Like, oh, we had the fires in this area, or we had these crazy tornadoes in this area. Again, I'm not looking at the middle. I'm just looking kind of over here. Lots of moisture coming out of the air here at the same time. Okay. We'll check out the middle last because that's where the more interesting things are happening right now. This area I'm really watching because there's been a lot of strange, a lot of strange things happening over in this area. The storms heading over New England are getting a lot of the zip zaps. No zip zaps, and then when it starts to come over here, tons of that rippled radar appearing all around it. See that? Yeah, and then these areas are getting pretty interesting weather, as we talked about. What was that? See? Oh, guys, it's doing it again. What? All right, there's something weird. I need to find out what these are. The only thing I could think of is that these are towers. That these are like cell phone towers. All of these black dots surrounded by this glow, those are NEXRAD towers. But we're seeing emission coming from something that is not NEXRAD. Look at all that. See? Circle, 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 circle. This is the most widespread I've seen them. And they're all simultaneous. What the heck is that? And what, I mean, those have got, I mean, some of these areas have very close circles. They've got to be cell towers. I mean, unless they've got a ton of other towers in problem is if I were to try to see if there were cell towers in these areas, it would come up as yes, because cell towers are everywhere. How would we be able to determine what these are? I'm going to find out. I need to do a map overlay, but the map would need to be perfectly in line with this map, and not all the maps are the same. I've tried to do overlays with Nexrad before, and they're not perfect. Super weird. This is super weird, and I'm seeing them. They're doing it in Tennessee too. Look at that. I don't trust that. I didn't look at Florida. Such strange wind patterns. So because this entire, oh, look at that, because the entire center of the country has just been microwaved, it's created a high pressure zone. So all the low pressure systems are kind of, well, it's better now. You know, when the major heat wave was here, it was worse. But all the storms were moving up north and then cycling down, and it was creating this whole weird spin. And then the wind was moving in this direction. It was going from east to west. The wind moves from west to east. Storms move west to east, but everything's getting moved. Like, look at this. We've got wind going in several different directions here. So everything's kind of like... All right, let's check out the middle. All that rippled radar around it. And then we've got the focal point coming up with all that blue. I'm just glad to not see much of green, because we had major green. Green is like where the most powerful part of the tower is, closest to it. Everything was green. Yeah, these towers are being very dramatic, unnecessarily so. These towers are being dramatic as well. Unusual. All this blue is too much. Look at all these zip zaps. My gosh, it's normal to see zip zaps with storms, but this is too much. I would say this tower has been acting unusually for a couple of weeks now. It's doing all of that a lot. All right, so once again, the center of the country, the storms that are going through are getting zip-zapped. Now, this zip-zap might be actually to eliminate the storm. Notice how after the zip-zaps occur, the storm kind of disappeared there, and then all of them lit up. And then over here, we got some zip-zaps too. And they've had power outages and things like that too. All right. We're going to look at trails, which they've been the strangest thing to look at lately. See, normally I start in the Atlantic. There's Europe. When I say trails, I can mean contrails, or I can mean chemtrails. Either way, they are trails left by aircraft. We know that they're left by aircraft because, well, they're lines that go from one end to the other, and oftentimes in the opposite direction of the wind. It's very obviously left by aircraft. Sometimes it's hard to tell, but most of the time, it's fairly easy to tell. And contrails are easy to spot because they're lower altitude. They spread out and disappear without a trace pretty quickly. The trails that are suspicious are high altitude, super defined and dense, and they spread out and they drop in altitude and like collide with the remnants of other trails into more clouds. Those are the weird clouds. And you can tell altitude based off the key down here, with black being the highest, purple being the lowest. Pink is its own little category, that's dust. We have trails in here, as you can see. They're getting laid, and then they're spreading out into this smoky dust. Got trails all in here that are turning into this smoke. Very hazy stuff. Oh, look at all that. All these trails coming over and making all this giant mess. And all in here. Look at all that. And it's dusting, it's like smoking out. We only started seeing this kind of smoky, so the trails get left and they turn into like the smoke. We only started seeing that maybe 2 months ago, right around when the blue rain was making rounds. I think they changed the composition, but there's so much of it and it's turning into this disgusting, polluted looking smoke cloud. And it's like got this greenish yellow in it. So it's medium altitude. Plenty up north. This is Canada. Canada's got some trails, though fewer than we've seen lately. Look at all that. They were trailing like crazy right before the fires were ignited over here, and they had significant wildfires. I believe they still have them. But here's the weird part, guys. The United States still doesn't have the trails that I used to see every single day. When Iran got struck, all of a sudden, the average trails, like the ones we see here, that we used to see all over the United States nonstop forever, they stopped. Now the wind is moving very quickly, so it's hard to see if there's trails. I will say I am seeing the remnants, though, of the smoky trails. The ones that spread out instantly and become a haze. It's all over here. You can see the remnants of it all over. I see it here. And I know that I have seen trails, but they're not obvious on satellite anymore. They're smoky looking. So I believe they definitely changed the composition of it. And that would explain why everyone's skies are super hazy nonstop. They're saying it's the Sahara dust. I don't think so. Watch a trail. These new trails. Let me know in the comments. Watch a plane leave a trail and see how it spreads. Does it spread much faster than it used to? Mine do. Mine spread into a smoke. Looks like white smoke, and then all of a sudden you can't really see the smoke anymore. It's just kind of hazed out. Plenty in the Pacific. We'll get a different view when we switch satellites. Now this is where they're saying that tropical depression might form. Gosh, it's just so funky seeing the direction that these clouds are moving in. I'm not used to seeing that. There's a lot of movement out here. I'm seeing some of that smoky stuff coming off the edges, so there's likely trails in here that I just cannot see, which is just wild because they're always so clear. Part of me is hoping, man, did they stop? Did they just stop chemtrailing because of the Iran thing? Look at that. Maybe it is still going strong. That's Flossie, I think. Now, South America doesn't often have trails. On occasion, they do. No. Just got a lot of wispy clouds today. Nothing. This is the Pacific Ocean. We're at the southern portion. Yesterday we saw trails over Hawaii. Now, I never really see trails over Hawaii, though the locals tell me it happens all the time. We've got some... See, the thing is, with the United States not seeing classic trails, it is surprising because we're still seeing them on the coast, like over the Atlantic, over the Pacific. I'm not so sure this is the United States leaving these. Part of me thinks that it's China. We've got, they have an enormous program. Got those smoky trails out here. See what I mean? These are not average chemtrails. I'm sorry, contrails. You know why? Because they get left, and instead of disappearing, they get thicker. Thicker, and they form these clouds. See that? Thicker, forming these clouds. It's all in here. Whoa, whoops. Zoom out. Hawaii. Hello, Hawaii. You guys have trails all around you today. Yep. And probably a whole lot of haze coming overhead. Look at all these. Look how that spreads out. And as usual, we got the trails over here, and these go up into Canada and then down back into the United States. And then up here by Alaska, look at all these trails. Whoa, they're right over Alaska as well. See, this is the kind of stuff we'd see all over the US on a very regular basis. I'm just stunned that we're not seeing them like that. Oh, that's so gross. And we have Australia. Oh. I believe I see trails mixed in here. I normally don't see any. No, there's definitely trails mixed in here. Yeah, there's trails. Interesting. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, the Aussies are asking me to look too. Yeah, you guys do. I mean, I tell Australians all the time. I'm like, I've only seen trails over Australia a handful of times, but if I ever see them, they're either on the they're always in the southern portion, on the west or east. China usually does trails on the eastern portion, but lately I've not seen too many. But yeah, they've got some today throughout here. I see some in Russia, though they're pretty short, so they look like possible contrails today. Now, yeah, we got some mixed in here too. And then I always see them out here. And these are the smoky ones too. They're just smoking out, and they get into this whole system here that's just moving over to the United States. Come on, load. Yes, look at all that smoky stuff. Not cool. And we're looking at southern tip of Africa. I usually say I've never seen any trails in Africa. Lately I've been seeing some trails over here, and then they're flowing over to Africa. We'll switch the satellite to check that out. They've been looking like contrails. And here are the remnants of those what I think are chemtrails over in the Atlantic. They're smoking out and just making their way over to Europe. Those look like contrails. They're super faded and they disappear completely. You have to really zoom in to see them. Trails up here, trails in here. Nothing over Africa though. So this is where we were seeing those trails. I still see some, but they're contrails because I mean, look, they're faint, the lower altitude, and they're disappearing. See how fast that trail disappears? Gone. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today. Gosh, I am very sleepy now. It is 11:32 p.m. now. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.